Hi, I'm Opal Mitchell. I work for the Central Arkansas Library System and I work at the Nixon branch in Jacksonville. And this is the Crafting with Opal program that we do every other Thursday at 4 o'clock. This week I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make some felt flowers in a felt box. I found this tutorial actually online, and the supplies that you got from the library, if you signed up for supplies for the program, the templates actually came from that website that I got this idea from. And so today I'm going to be showing you how to make those. And that website's got some other cool tutorials and stuff too, but later on, I think in December, there was a neat one they had where you can make a felt bow, and so that one I'm going to save and do for Christmas time to show you how to do a neat felt bow. Kind of similar to what we're doing today. It's using the same type of supplies and so forth. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera around so you can see all the supplies and see what you're going to need to get started. And I have a sewing machine right here, but it's not necessary for this particular project. You can actually hand sew all of this. You don't have to have a sewing machine. And so I'm going to tilt this just a little bit. I might have to raise it back up. I've got wires across the counter here though. Alrighty. You will have actually received a template that's got a round circle. I made the round circle template with the CD. So if you have a CD at home, you could use that just as well. Be sure to cut out all of your templates before you get started. I've already done all of that, so you won't have to watch me do that part. One of the other templates you would have gotten was a bunch of different flower shapes. Today I'm going to actually do this particular one. They're different sizes, so if you want a bigger flower, then you'll cut it out on this line here, and so on. You'll go and cut it out that line if you want it that size, and I did the smallest one. So just cut out whatever one that you want to do. The first one I did had more of a pointed edges to it, and that's kind of how this one turned out, even though it's more rounded in my opinion. Even though the template, it's just the way I cut it. I guess there's smaller rounded edges than the one I'm going to do today, are a little bit bigger rounded edges, which here's what it looked like when I cut it out. So you can just cut out whichever size you want to do. And I'm going to move that out of the way. Now, the box template, you'll have to put it together. Once you cut it out, it's two different sheets of paper. And if you'll notice, there's stars showing you how to line up the sides together. So the one that has the two stars, you'll lay that on top, and you can't see through it, but the piece underneath it has a little bit of a star there to let you know that that's where the other one lays down. So you'll just put those two pieces together and then tape it along the edges to secure it really good. And you'll use that to lay down on your piece of felt. I did make a smaller version of this for if you're not able to get a hold of or don't have the larger piece of felt that this works on. This is more for like a 12 by 12. If you only have like an 8 by 12 or 8 by 11 piece of felt, I think Fabio, he actually, that's I think the one that he's providing for people to use is the smaller one. Sometimes you can't find the bigger pieces of felt, and you can only find the smaller ones. I found the bigger pieces at Michael's, but you tend to, I noticed it's not easy to find those bigger pieces. So those are your templates. Some other things you will receive in your kit will be needle and thread, and I believe that's going to be it really, besides your felt for your project. Additional things you're going to need to have on hand from home: a good pair of scissors, Preferably fabric scissors. That's not totally necessary, but you will find that the fabric scissors will cut through the felt a lot easier than just regular scissors. But if you have just some decent pair of cutting scissors that do a really good job of cutting things, it should work. If they're a little dull, you might have a little difficulty cutting through it, and you might get aggravated trying to cut out your templates, especially when you get to cutting these pieces out. If they're not very sharp, you're going to really struggle with cutting the little circular edges, the curved edges. So I recommend a good pair of scissors for that. And a little handy thing I found, that even though when I was following along, this was not something they suggested to have, binder clips are actually going to be handy when you're doing one of the parts. If you don't have them, if you sew and you have these types of clips that you use for sewing, then they will work also. It's when we get to this one where you're going to be folding them into halves and halves, and then you're going to have to clip them down into place. And getting them to stay down is really, really difficult unless you have the clips. You could probably pin them down or use paper clips possibly if you don't have any of the clips on hand. A pin, if you've got some fabric pins, those work great. If you don't have a fabric pin, a nice sharp tipped felt Sharpie pin, or even a felted pin. Sometimes a felt pin might even do it, but you need something with a fine, it's having trouble, but one that has a really fine tip to it is going to work the best, because you're going to need that to use to when you're laying your template on top of your pieces that you're going to be cutting out. You're going to need to draw around them. Let's see here, let me show you. So whenever you're laying them on there, you're going to have to draw around those edges, and the finer the tip, the easier you're going to have drawing around the edges. With felt, it's kind of fuzzy, so you're going to have some issues with it drawing very easy for you. So just kind of, instead of putting a lot of pressure on the felt when you're drawing, kind of use an easier touch when you're doing that, because if you press down really hard, you're going to find that tip of your pen is going to get stuck while you're and you're going to have a frustrating time with it. So be a little bit easier when you're doing that part, when you're drawing your templates, and for the flowers, and for the circle piece, and for your box piece. So that's what you're going to have to get ready before we get started as far as your templates. The leaf pieces, you can just kind of freehand those. There's not really templates for them. They're just really just a teardrop shape. And I'll kind of show you how I did mine when we get to that step. But that's really not too bad as far as freehanding. But that's one of the flowers, if you didn't get a good look at what it looks like. And that's the first flower we're going to do. And a sewing machine actually will be handy for sewing these edges, but not completely necessary. It'll make it go faster when sewing up your box, but you don't have to have a sewing machine. You can actually hand sew, sorry, the edges of it too. Unfortunately, the way we're sewing this on the outside, someone said, oh, you could just turn it inside out. Well, the bad thing about doing it, flipping this inside out, is that it's gonna, because it's felt, it's not gonna have sharp edges to it if you do that, and it doesn't look very good. It actually bows outwards, and it doesn't look that great when you turn it inside out and have these on the inside. So just use like a white thread or something, and it gives it kind of an accent. I think it's kind of cute that way. But if it really bothers you, if you have some thread that matches the color of the box that you're sewing, then just match it up a little bit, and you might like that better. Or use a contrasting color, like an opposite color to red, say like green. That would be kind of cool too. Or another color, like if you're going to be attaching your flower to it, you could use a blue or a green like that, that would match the with the box and everything. That would be neat too. All right, so let's get all of that out of the way, and I'm going to get started on the first project, which is the little rose, which is this one right here. And you're going to start with a round piece of fabric that you have cut out and from your felt, and I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to get this out of the way. Probably should have put this under the table instead of over the table. So I'm going to flip it over on that side. So I don't want to accidentally cut that with my scissors. So I'm going to move all my unnecessary stuff out of the way. I was getting needle and thread ready to use for sewing later, but I'm going to wait on that. Okay, so there's that, and there's my scissors. She did not give a template on how to cut your circle, so I'm just going to show you. Let's see. This is what I got from her website. You're literally going to cut like a circular shape like that whenever you're cutting this out. I wish she had included a template on how to do that, but I was able to do it fairly easy the first time around. I just started on the edge and then just kept cutting around, so that's what I'm going to do this time too, and just try to keep it as even as possible. As far as you notice with the way she did it, she tried to keep the strip the same amount of spacing when she came back around. She tried to keep it the same size. That will help on the way that it rolls up as far as the way it ends up looking. So just keep that in mind. If you needed some help, I'm trying to think. I used black, and it's sparkly on one side, felt. So I guess you could always use something. If you needed a guide, you could always draw it first, which I think I'll do that to kind of help you guys out a little bit, because that can be hard just cutting from scratch. Hold on. With black fabric, it's hard to draw on it. So if you ended up getting some black felt, the only thing that I know for sure that will show up on it is chalk, or Taylor's chalk. You can buy this at Walmart or Hobby Lobby, Michael's. I think Walmart should have some too. But that's one of the few things that's actually going to show up. So I'm going to tilt this some more. So I'm hoping this will not fall forward. Actually, I'm going to turn. Oh, sorry. Quiet, Zoe. I have a dog in here with me. She heard some kids talking outside. Alright, so let's see if... Alright, so I think I got it. Quiet. Alright, so let's see if I can do this. So you're going to start, I don't know if this is going to show up really good. And I'm starting on the back side of it because the sparkle side is kind of what, whenever I'm curling it up, that's the side that's going to be showing on mine. You shouldn't have that problem with yours. But you want to come at a point when you're first coming out here. And actually having something to measure with would probably be handy too. Let's see. Hang on just one second. tape measure. I wasn't thinking about doing this, but I'm trying to figure out to make this easier for you guys. If you have a tape measure too, that will help a little bit. I want to see how big this is. It's almost 5 inches. So making one that's about a 1/2 inch wide, a little over 1/2 inch, or trying to think what would be the best size to go with. Not quite 1 inch, because it's almost 5 inches, so probably making it a little bit bigger than 1/2 inch would probably be good, but I'm gonna try to eyeball it a little bit. I think that's about how big we should make it. So you're gonna want to keep it the same size on the edge and slowly, or pretty close to it, as much as you can eyeball it. And continue around. I'm trying to see. It's really hard with this black. And the nice thing about chalk, it will come off of the fabric too easily. Another thing you could do is if you don't need the chalk, there's fabric markers that will come off that's water soluble. So that would be another good one to use if you're just having a different colored felt that you're going to be marking. Alright, so once I start getting over here, I'll be going inwards. I think that's too severe of a turn, so I'm going to remark it a little bit here. Well, there we go. And this is just a guide, so if it doesn't look quite right, it's okay. It's going to come off and not show up later since it's chalk. And if you'll notice, she goes to a little point like that, so I'm going to try to stick with what she did. Okay. Alright, so if you can kind of see, it's really difficult, I think, with this black. So I got my little circular thing drawn on there, and now I'm just going to cut it. Get that out of the way. And the first felt I worked with was actually kind of a stiffer type of felt. This one is a softer one that's bends a lot easier, so I'm kind of curious to how it's going to end up looking compared to the other one that I made. If it's going to end up being kind of floppy, or you know, how it's going to work. Because they don't specify in this tutorial what kind of felt to use, and so I think really any kind would probably be okay. I'm just using stuff that we had on hand from previous stuff that we've done at the library. We've had some felt Christmas ornaments that we've made previously in in-person programs we did before COVID, and so that's mostly what I have on hand. I went to the store and bought some more of the bigger sheets of felt for the box, but I had a lot of the other stuff already on hand. Because you never know what other kind of projects you're going to find that you could use the supplies on. Sometimes that's how I get ideas for programs. I'll look and see what kind of supplies I have left over from other previous programs and go online and see if I could find anything, a project that involves those type of supplies. I've even been donated supplies before that I didn't know what the heck I was going to do with them until I went online and Googled it. Okay, so now I've got this little funky thing here, circle thing. So we're going to be putting it together. I've got fuzz everywhere. All right. At this point, as far as the color of thread that you're going to use, it's not a huge deal if you use matching thread on this. I know with my patrons that I gave supplies to, I try to give you some matching thread, but it's really not necessary. I think all I'm going to go ahead and do is use the white with this one, because it's going to be all on the back of it, so you're not going to be able to see it. So let me go ahead and thread this. If you have trouble threading it, cut the end of your thread before you try to put it through the eye of the needle. It might make it easier, especially if you have a really small eye on your needle. And I'm going to give myself plenty of thread because I'm going to be using this some more, and rather than having to rethread it a bunch of times, I'm going to make sure I have extra. And if you haven't ever done any hand sewing, this is basically how you would thread your needle. You just want to knot it a few times to make sure that it's going to not pull through your fabric or your felt in this case. Alright, that should be good enough. I'm just going to cut off the excess so it doesn't have a really long tail. Okay. Alright. Okay, so to start this off, we're going to start with the outer edge when we're rolling it. And mine's sparkly, so I want the sparkly to be on the inside because I want it to show up on the outside. So you're just going to try to start with the very tip of it and start rolling it. The other stiffer felt that I worked with, it was kind of easy to roll up. This one is a little bit more difficult. And what you're wanting to do is you're wanting the inner edge to be lined up as you're rolling it. So just continue to roll it. The outer edge, you don't want it to line up, just the inner one. So you're just going to continue. I was kind of surprised how this all worked. It was kind of neat. And these are neat things that you can make if you want to have something kind of personalized outside of a gift for somebody. You could make one of these roses to put as decoration on a gift, which I thought was kind of neat. Just try to keep it lined up as best as possible. Kind of curious how the sparkly felt's gonna look. And you can always, like, if you don't like that edge right there, it sticks out a little bit, you can even it out a little bit if you need to, which I think it is okay anyway. Alright, so you just continue to roll it with the bottom edge being lined up as best as you can do. Let's see. And what you're going to end up with on the bottom, oh, I should not have picked black. It's going to be hard for y'all to see. But see, there's my curled up end, and I curled it until I got to this. If your little end doesn't quite line up, you can always cut it a little bit more, but it should lay pretty flat over the area that you've been lining up. And so when I turn it around, that's kind of hard to see. It's kind of sparkly. The outer edge is going to flare out more than the rest of it. Let's see. So to sew this up, which it's going to be, try to move my edges down a little bit. They kind of came undone. You're just going to sew that into place. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Making sure I didn't forget something. Okay, so to kind of help this stay together before you get started, let's see. She shows, okay, so this is just tipping up that one piece right there. I'm going to take my needle and thread, and I'm gonna line it up with the edge here, and I'm going to stick it all the way through, because you want the whole thing to stay together, and this is a way to make sure that all the pieces don't come unraveled. Okay, so I've got that piece just hanging out, and then I'm sticking this all the way through the center area here, and I'm going to pull it through. Okay, so you got that one little piece over there. Okay, so this kind of holds everything together. And let's see, I want that to stay down too, so I'm going to, well, I don't really want that piece to be sticking up like that. So I'm going to start sewing these edges down, and I'm going to start with this edge over here, because I don't want, here I'm going to actually catch, I'm going to catch this piece right here, because she wants you to sew all the way around in a circular motion here, and the way I did mine, that's not quite going to work. Let's see. I want to make sure. Alright, so I did it all the way through. I'm going to go back in underneath and come back into the center of all of this, because you want this to stick down. I'm starting like right where my this piece folds in. I want to get as close to that little cut as possible. So I'm just going back in and trying to come back out around there, so I can start there. So you want to sew this down. So I'm just going to do a simple stitch. It doesn't matter how it looks on this side because you can't really see it. So I'm starting in that one little corner piece there, And then I'm just going to go around, closing it off here. And you're trying to get your edges of your flower to on the where you're doing this. And we're just going to follow that little circular opening, and we're going to go all the way around it. Because you're getting the edges of here, you're going to go all the way around the edge here. When I get over here, I'm going to end up covering up where I came out on this side, and I'm going to come up over here. So we're going to start in the center, and you want to catch the edges. This is a lot easier to sew through than the other felt that was a little bit denser or stiffer. I want to make sure that I catch the stuff underneath. Anytime it tries to knot, don't let it do that. Sometimes if you put your finger on top, which it's still trying to do. Come on. I don't want it to knot. I think I'm going to have to angle this camera some more so y'all can see what I'm doing. Because I'm having trouble holding my hands at an angle. Let's see. A little more light since it's so dark. I wish I had not picked this black for training purposes to show y'all how to do this. But that's that one little edge that's open that I'm sewing down. Everything's sticking together because it's fuzzy. I was just trying to move that stitch over. There we go. Got my thumb in there to keep it from tangling up. Okay, so I'm coming around. You could do this a little bit neater, but this is all being underneath, so I'm not too worried about it. It looks like my fabric was tearing there, or my felt was tearing. Oh, my camera's gonna fall. No. Let's tighten it up a little bit there. Okay, I'll try to just hold it a little bit closer without tilting. Okay, and now it's going to kind of fold over the edge a little bit because it's not lining up with the edge now, which is okay. and this kind of depends. You can flip it over and kind of look at it and go, okay, so do I want this to lay kind of flat out like that? Or, because right now I've gotten to this edge right here, or do I want to curl that under some? I kind of like it being flat like that, so I'm gonna actually just kind of, that's gonna be my finishing spot there. I'm just gonna come back around in that same spot. And rather than cut this loose, I'm going to be putting some leaves on there that I'm going to sew to the back of it. So rather than rethread this, unless you need to get some more thread for this, you can. I'm going to get my green and cut out 3 leaves for it. And I'll just show you. I don't make them any particular style, really. I just give it a curve edge to it. Let's see, I might even have to move my camera again because that's a little too, doesn't give me enough room to really do stuff. Okay. Alright, so you want to start off with a curved edge. And I like the bottom of the leaf to be a little curved. And so I'll come back around and just kind of do a teardrop type shape, but I won't make it like, I'll give a little bit of a curve to it though. Let's see, if you don't like that, you can always cut it down a little bit more and give it more shape and play with it a little bit. But it's basically a teardrop, and you want about 3 of those. So there's my first one, and I'll even go with the curve of another where I had already started one, and just kind of, oh gosh, I wasn't even on camera, but just do another curve shape. Kind of, like I said, teardrop shape. And making them different is always good too, to give them a little bit different look. So, and I like to move, this one's a little too straight. I usually like to curve them a little bit. So, I'm going to start at this edge. And let's see. That one's a little bit bigger than the other ones, but I wanted to play with it a little bit. Okay, and give it a little bit different shape to it. So there's another one. And you just need 3 of them. And one's a little bit bigger than the others, but that's okay. And you can always play with putting it behind your flower to kind of see what it looks like, to figure out how you want it to go. So let's see here. You can also do, when you're sewing it down, you can kind of sew it at an angle, so it'll do that. So I'm going to do that. Start with pinching it so I can have it a pinched look to it whenever I'm sewing it down to the back. Let's see. This is going to be awkward since I already still have the thread in there. Let's see. That might not have been a good idea. Let's see. Try to fix this where y'all can see me. So I had it pinched like so. I need my thread to be coming. I'm gonna pick up the back here. I need my thread to be in a different place. So, oh, why is it getting hung? Oh, I have a knot. How did I get a knot in my thread? Oh gosh, that's horrible. Ah, yay. Well, I'm gonna see if I can make this work. I don't know if it's going to since I got a knot in that, but alright, so I'm gonna keep that pinched. Alright. And I'm gonna try to turn this so it'll be a little flat. Try to keep it pinched. Tighten this up a little bit. It's not quite staying for me. It's probably the angle. Alright, let's see. Okay. So, yeah, that'll work. Let's see if I can get it to hang on there while I do. Oh! This darn camera does not like to stay in place. Okay, so I want another one somewhere on here. I'm not going to pinch it, so I'm just going to come up. I guess that knot I accidentally got in there is not going to be a huge deal. Okay, that'll work. And if I wanted to pinch the other one, I could. You just come back through the hole that you just went into to kind of, and then you'll have to tighten it up to kind of keep that pinched look, but you're going to have to pull it really, really tight. Well, it's not, I didn't do it far enough. Well, actually, I'm just going to fold it under. Well, it's not cooperating. Okay, there we go. Got that one pinched. And since they are not wanting to stay in place, I'm just going to sew back through all of them. And try not to get myself. You can just sew these flat on here. It'll probably be a lot easier. And then I'm going to sew into my flower to kind of get them to stay in place and come out the side. That kind of gets them to stay where I want them to while I get my other one. So I'm going to try to do this one also by pinching it. And then I got 3 pinched flowers. And then I'm going to push it down on here so I can sew through my flower to hold it into place. I'll come back through on the other side. If you find this too difficult, just sew it flat. That way they all have a little bit of a pinched look, but then I'll have to go back through them again to hold them down. Okay, there we go. And then what you would do, well, what I'll do here in a minute, once I get my box done, I'll leave this on here so I can just sew it onto the box without having to rethread it. And we'll, when you're sewing it onto the box, you kind of, if you need to sew that down a little bit more to make it stay in place, you can. But you're going to want to be in the towards the center of the flower when sewing it down. So there's my flower with the leaves on it. And then I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to hand sew your box if you need to do that. I'm going to use some scrap fabric for that. And so I'm going to need another needle to show you how to do that, and some more thread. I probably shouldn't use white because you're not going to be able to see it. Let's use red, because this is just to show you how to hand sew it if you need to. Well, oh wow, this one's a smaller eye of the needle there. Okay, so I got it through. Well, there we go. And of course you'll need a lot more thread than that. I'm not going to sew the whole thing, I'm just giving you a quick idea of how to do this. So you'll knot it a few times. Okay, so, and we're just pretending this is the two, we're going to be folding the edges down to sew it. So, and you're going to line your edges up. And when you're, this is going to be the outside of your box. So you want to start with sewing on the inside. So your tail will be on the inside. And you want that to be hidden. So you're going to lay it down along the edge of your fabric or your felt. And then you're going to see where I'm towards the top. You can go back in like not quite a smaller than 1/4 of an inch next to the other one, and you're going to go all the way through like so. And then on the other side you're going to come back through, and you want to come back through where your knot was on the other side. You're going to go all the way around. Oh, of course I'm going to get another knot that I don't want. When I'm in a hurry, it usually does that. Oh, come on. Really? There we go. All right. Okay, so you can kind of see that side looks like that, and that side looks like that. This is the beginning of your sewing, so we're going to go through this a few times just to reinforce it. And you're going to be coming back out in the same, pretty much in the same spot. Okay. All right, so after you go through, I would say do that 2 or 3 times to make sure. Now I'm going to go back into that same spot again, and then for your next stitch we're going to go on this side. We're going to come back and go down just a little ways and go through, pull it through, and then on this side you're going to go through that spot again This is going to make it a lot more durable doing it this way. And that's not real straight, but try to keep it as straight as possible. And then we're going to come back on this side. You're lining it up. And then you're going to come over. And you're just going to do this all the way down. You're going to go over a little bit. Then come back on that side. And then you're going to need a lot of thread to do it this way. And then go back through that same hole. And back through. And then when you're on this side, then you'll come back over a little ways. Like this. What this is going to do is it's going to have stitching all the way down on both sides and make it even stronger. If you didn't want to do it this way, you can always just, here I'll show you real quick, even though I'm running out of thread, you could always just do it one time, just go through on this side, and then rather than come back through, you'll go back down and come out this way, and then go back down, and that way you'll have more of a dotted look to it. But this one will give you a continuous and a stronger stitch. But you'll just go all the way to your edge. When you get to your edge, I ran out of thread, so it's going to be kind of hard to show you how to do that. You're going to, when you get down to the bottom, you're going to come back through in the middle, not in the same spot, but really close to the same spot. Then you're going to tie your knot. And then once you tie your knot a few times, you're going to feed your thread up through the stitches like so, and up through here, and then cut off your thread. So that's how you would hand sew the edges like that. So I'm going to cut this off and show y'all real quick how to sew it on the sewing machine. I'll show you how to, now when you're hand sewing, the way you line up this on the sewing machine to sew it is the same way. So I'm going to switch this around for the sewing machine. Here's my box, and whenever you're folding it, you're going to be folding it in like so, and we're going to sew one edge. When you got that edge sewed, then we're going to fold in another edge and sew it, and we're going to go around doing that. But when you're sewing on your sewing machine with a different type of fabric, each time you start a new project, you need to test your machine to see if you've got your tension correct for this particular project. So I have a piece of test felt here to test it out to see if my tension's going to be correct. So I'm just folding the piece just in half. And I'm going to put it under my pressure foot. Make sure the thread's behind there. And let's see. I'm going to put it in there. And you want it to give yourself 1/4 of an inch, which you can't see that, so I'm going to fix that, remedy that a little bit. You want to have 1/4 of an inch from the edge of your felt there. So I've got that. So I'm going to sew forward a couple of stitches. And then I'm going to reverse to the end. And my thread broke. So my tension's probably not correct then, since my thread broke. Yeah, it's a little too tight. So Let me rethread my machine real quick. Oh no. No, it's because my thread on top got tangled. Okay. My tension might have been just fine then. So we'll try this one more time. Alright, and this machine has a threader on it, but it doesn't work. So I'm going to have to thread this by hand. Hopefully I can. Oops. Oh, I got it in there the first time. Yay. Alright. Y'all couldn't see that because my camera fell forward. Sorry for all the extra noises from doing this. Okay, so I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to flip it over and do the other end. Okay. Yeah, that was the problem. It was my thread was messed up on top. Okay, so my tension's fine. So we'll get that out of the way. And now I got my box. So one edge, we're going to fold it in half, and you're going to line the bottom up with the top. If you need to pin it in place, you can, but you don't have to. This stays in place pretty good since it's felt. Let's see, where's my other thread? Did I run out of bobbin? Yes, I have an empty bobbin. I swear, I'm having problems today. Luckily, I always keep extra white thread on a bobbin. Let's see, on hand. So hopefully not too much of a problem here. Oh, that's an awful big piece of thread sticking out there. Clip that off. Oops. Okay. This is taking longer than normal because of the issues. All right. Where is it? Barely brought it up. Oh, come on. Oh my goodness. There we go. Don't ever do that. That's not a safe thing that I just did. Okay. You could accidentally sew your fingers if you do that. So, alright, so let's get this going. I'm trying to hurry up so I could show you how to do the other flower. So just reinforce at the top, and when we get to the bottom, we'll reinforce it too. And I'm going to go one more stitch there, and then I'm going to back up. Yeah, alright, so there's one. And I'm going to cut off the excess threads off of here. I have lots of long threads. Okay, so that's one edge sewn. So then you're going to go, I'll push this away so you can kind of see. And then we're going to go to the next edge, like so. You can see the inside with the other flap that we're going to have. So you can kind of see it's getting a box look to it. And it doesn't matter if you start from the bottom and sew up or start at the top and sew up. That part doesn't really matter. Just whichever. You just want to make sure you line up the top edge and the bottom edge. Mostly the top edge is really what you're going to have to be concerned with. I guess I'll cut the threads off of that too. You can't see me doing that part. Sorry, I'm just cutting the long threads off of the box. All right, so now we're gonna line up one of our next edges. So right at the crease there. All right. That one, and I got one more to go. Sorry this is taking so long. I thought cutting out all of my templates and stuff and all my pieces ahead of time, it would take some time off of this. Alright, so now we got one edge left. And then just be sure to get the top lined up. This is the one that will be a little bit tougher to do because it might have a little bit of problems staying together for you, just because everything else is kind of getting close together and bunched up. Okay, that's it. Got the last one done. Scoop that out of the way. And it's grabbing a hold of my camera cords there. Alright, so let's get the last of these threads cut off. Alright. So it's going to look a little funky at first, but you just kind of press out the bottom. And then there's your box. That's pretty simple. And then we've got that flower that I did if I want to put it on the front of it. If I didn't like how big the leaves are, you know, if I made them a little too big or wanted them smaller or whatever, you could still cut them down. Not a huge deal. It's always better to make them a little bit bigger than too small. And you can put it in the center of the box, towards the top of the box. I think I might put mine towards the top. And just sew it through. So just bring that through and then kind of reposition, or actually, I might even like them to be facing downwards, like so. And you'll just sew it all the way through. It doesn't really matter at this point. You just need to be sure to grab a hold of your flower and you'll want to sew around all the edges here. You want these edges to be holding down really good, and you want to sew it where you get the petals also. So do a circular thing when you're sewing it all the way in the circle like that to get it nice and secure on there where it will stay on. So I think y'all can do that with no problem. And so I just want to show you real quick how to do this last little bit. So you've got 6 of these. This is for your other flower. So you're going to have 6 of them, and let's see here. Where's my other needle at? So let me think. I guess I'll go ahead and use the red thread for this one. Even though I maybe should use white so y'all can see. I don't know. I need to double check that and see. I don't think sewing these up are going to be that big of a deal. Nah, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so you want to get a nice long piece of thread for that one. And tie your knot. And when you're doing these, making a long thread like this, don't do it longer than your arm, because if you make it longer than your arm, when you're extending your arm out, the threads can get really tangled up if they're longer than that. So try to avoid that. Okay. All right, so you're going to start with a base piece, like so. And you're going to, I want my shiny side, since mine are shiny, to be face up. So you're going to pick somewhere in the middle that you're going to put your needle through. And you're going to have it like that. And then you're going to take one of your flower pieces, and you're going to fold it in half. And then you're going to fold it again until it's like that. And then you're going to take this needle and you're going to stick this through the end, like so, and pull it through. And you want to line this up with one of your sides. And this is where having the clips handy, which I don't know, the binder clips might be better than those. It might open up more to hold it in place, because you're going to be putting these other pieces on there too. So I've got that in place and I've sewn through it. So now I need another one. I'm going to fold it in half and then fold it in half again, like so. And then we're going to put it kind of next to the one we just did. So I'm going to sew that one down in the corner like I did the other one, like so. So now I've got them like that. So I'm going to take another binder clip, because I don't want these coming back open when I'm trying to do my other ones. So I got 2 on there. And then I'm going to put my needle back through on the other side, because I'm going to do that to another one. So I'm going to fold it in half and fold it in half and sew through the corner like so again. And you're going to put that one down in the next corner. So I'm going to put another binder clip to hold it in place. So now I got 3 of them on there. So fold this one in half and then half again. And then I'm going to sew through the corner like so. And I'm going to, oh, I need to flip it over. Okay, and I need to sew through the back like so, because I need to hold it down. So I'm going to use another binder clip to hold that one down, because I'm going to be putting another piece on top. Okay, so now I've got 4 of them, and they're all kind of sewn in place. And now I'm going to put another one on top of it like so, but before I do that, I need to go back through the center from the other side. So I come out through the center on this side. And I'm going to go through the center of this one. Or try to. Finding the center is hard. Okay. So now I got that over the center of that one. Okay. And this is practically done. You want to get this in place as good as possible. So I'm going to sew back down, not in the exact same spot, but pretty close. And go back down through the back of it. And you want to pull it as tight as you possibly can. Oops, that's wrapping around. And I'm trying to, it's wrapping around all my binder clips. No, I don't want to tighten it around. I'm trying to do a knot on the back here to pull it tight as possible. Which my knot didn't. I think I'm going to have to pull these binder clips off to do that. Because this is the back side. Pull it really, really tight. Ah. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it back over and fluff it out. And then you've got your flower. And then see, that's my back. And you're going to do this one the same way you did the other one as far as the leaves that you did. You'll just cut out a bunch of leaves, like 3 of them, and put them on the back side and sew them in place. So it's the same way. I kind of like the sparkly stuff. That's kind of cute. And that's basically how you do the flowers, and these 2 different types of flowers. And here, I'll show you. Bring that one back over, and you can do different colors or different styles and so forth. And that's how I did the other one. I did it flat on this one for the leaves. So, all right. Well, that's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed the program. And if you have any questions, you can always shoot me a question either in the comments section here, or if you wanted to call the library. I work at the Nixon branch. You can always call and ask for Opal if you have any questions about that. And in 2 weeks we'll be doing a lavender, lavender painting, and it's a paint along. You can also get supplies. Call and sign up for supplies where you can come and do a grab and go for those. The sign-up sheet will be available for that one starting tomorrow if you want to call to sign up for the supplies. We give you the paint, the canvas. I don't know if we have any paint brushes left that we can give out, but it's going to be one that you only need 1 paintbrush and some Q-tips. So we'll be giving out the Q-tips. It'll be a Q-tip type painting. So you only need one big flat brush for that one. So if you're interested in signing up for that one, then give us a call. And then until next time, well, that's it.